Okay, welcome back to another Honest Tool Reviews. And today I have a few different things for you. I'll be uploading them separately. And I believe I'm going to start with this first video being Porter Cable Impact Driver or Impact Wrench. You can call it whatever you want. It says Impact Wrench on the back of it, but it drives bolts. So you could say it's a driver. You could even argue that it's a drill, if everything that takes a drill battery is a drill. Dave. I got this one for Christmas a few years ago. I did not buy it myself, someone else did, and it has been through living hell. This is the bad boy I do all of my lug nuts for my vehicles with. I've taken it to work back when I worked at a company called Universe to run some big 1 inch, 1.5 inch bolts, and this thing did it. I only currently have one battery for it, and it has been here through thick and thin for 2 years, and this SOB has been great. I have had it die during operation, but I've never had it die and not charge again. I've never had it die on me where I had to have something done in the next few minutes, and it was going to be hours because it died. Unlike other things in the past, this particular machine has quite literally been as reliable to me as a gun. It has never been underpowered for what I've needed. It has actually been quite overpowered sometimes, which I will explain. I have had to use torque sticks, and I know that's setting people on fire. Torque sticks, torque sticks. Oh my God. I have used torque sticks with this thing to reduce what it's doing, and it has actually been really good with torque sticks. Not torquing them with torque sticks, but using torque sticks to prevent overpowering the nut and bolt combo and stripping something and blowing something apart. Just kind of reducing what you get out of it. And it has been really good. I mean, I'd never run a bolt any smaller than a pin with this thing. No, never. I'm not that lazy. or am I? Um, well, you'll never know. Anyway, it's been through hell. It's got some pretty permanent mud stains, some pretty permanent oil stains, grease stains, dirt, wear and tear like I would have thought it didn't have, because I thought I took care of this thing, but apparently I haven't. Or maybe in all of its old age, it's just received a lot of wear. Now, a lot of people like to hear a drill run. I don't think it does it justice over the internet, and it doesn't do it justice without something for it to ratchet against and hear that clickety clink. But this beast, it doesn't bog down. I've not had a reason for this thing to quit on me, and it has been really good. I'm being a little too nice. It sounds too good to be true, and I'm sure there's an application out there somewhere. If you're a shipbuilder in a shipyard and you're building something that current day is similar to the Titanic, past in past references of how big the Titanic was. Ships nowadays make that look like a dinghy. You may be working on a motor that's bigger than Donald Trump's mansion, and in the process, you may have bolts bigger than my head. I wouldn't suggest this for that. I don't think there's very many things on the market for those applications. You have to buy a specific tool or just get a big wrench and have your buddy help you. But I've been a mechanic now at the factory that I've been working at for almost 2 years, and I was the lead mechanic when I left Unifirst. And I have been doing some mechanic work for a while, and I was a plumber before then. And when I came across this, sitting in my lap on Christmas Day. I was like, wow, now that is a monster. And I immediately noticed two things about it. It was way bigger than my itty bitty 3/8 drive Milwaukee. And I don't actually, how do I put this without the perverts in the crowd laughing? I don't really like it bigger, but sometimes you need it bigger. And this is one of those that anytime I've grabbed it, it has made sure I was pleased. I've never ever had a dead battery while trying to perform a job with this. My Milwaukee 3/8 drive impact wrench, it has had batteries die. That's probably me and not the platform and probably not the brand. But I have had to grab multiple batteries with the Milwaukee. I would suggest that that's probably just me, but somewhere in the back of my head it feels like that at the end of the battery it just doesn't have the juice that it has at the beginning. And I almost feel like this 20 volt 4.0 amp hour max pack battery actually has, I feel like it has the same power all the way till dead. And I am a Milwaukee fan from hell and back. I have been for the longest time. The girl that I'm seeing now, God forbid, she's actually from Wisconsin, and I'm like, damn, we need to go visit your family, because I want a chance to go up there and actually see the factory where they make these things and see the Milwaukee store, the actual all-American, down-to-earth, original Milwaukee store. But this Porter Cable half-inch drive impact wrench has been the impact wrench. If it needed to be moved, this moves it. And I have had a time or two where I've thought about putting an impact wrench on my engine motor somewhere on a nut or a bolt, and I've shied away from this thing. Yeah, it may not fit in all of these places either. That is true. But mainly because even with a torque stick, I didn't really want to take the chance that this was just too many Oonga Doongas. I used the itty bitty little one, but stuff underneath the chassis, uh, bolts on the rear end, uh, bolts on different things. I actually I use this. I put a 3/8 socket on here and run my emergency jack to lift up my vehicle with. I have had other jacks, and in the process of moving in the past, I'm sure people have seen my videos that I've mentioned that I've been going through a very nasty separation at one point, and I'm a single father and all. I don't know where my jacks have ended up, and this thing right here just turns the jack. It just keeps going right on up, lifting up my vehicles. It does what I need it to do. And because the biggest thing about honest tool reviews is that when I do a tool review, I like to give you a honest tool review where there has been some time on it. I try to at least have 6 months using a tool before I give you a review. And if it's been that early, I try to go back and give you another review in a year or two. I don't think I've ever given a review on this, and I was just sitting around thinking I need to actually buckle down and do tool reviews. People are getting sick and tired of my gun reviews. People are getting sick and tired of me just not doing tool reviews. And even though I appreciate the 2A, Second Amendment loving people who like and comment on my gun videos, and the little old ladies that have been so happy to have found this is a great idea for me to go out and buy, I am a tool review channel, and my dedication is towards industrial tools, mechanical tools that you can use in a paid situation where you're trying to make money. And this is one of those tools, and I wanted to get this out there. I do believe that with it being as old as it is, There's probably a newer model. You'll probably see the grip has a different design than the ones you've seen on the store shelves. I'm not even sure what store sells this because, again, I didn't buy it for me. Someone else did. But it does have the plastic rear covering the motor and all. The front is a type of metal. It looks cast, but it's an aluminum, like a cast aluminum. I'm not good with metals. I barely weld, and if I do, I have no clue what metal I'm welding. Just so you can hear the difference there. It's I guess cast aluminum could be a thing. I feel like I've heard that term somewhere before. But it's very sturdy for plastic. It's just like the Milwaukees, the DeWalt's. It does have a lot of extra thick rubber up here, and I hate to I hate to take everything back to guns, but this ridge on either side almost almost makes me want to mount a scope on it. I've commented 2 or 3 times to people standing around at the house. I'm like, man, I'm gonna mount a fucking scope on that. I'm gonna do a holographic sight on this, just like a handgun holographic sight or scope, and just be like, I got you now, you dirty bolt. Yeah, it's been a very good drill. It did come with the battery and a charger. Unfortunately, I do not like the charger. The charger is the same style as the Black & Decker and even the Bauer or even the Walmart brands, where you have the charger and you have the battery and you slide the charger onto the battery. The battery is not stationed in a base station or a charging port or a charging station. The battery is the location and the charger goes onto the battery. Now that could be a lightweight solution that people like. They can throw it in a smaller drawer in their toolbox or something, and that's all well and good. But the assumption that I make when I see a smaller charger like that is that, one, it doesn't have the intelligent board inside of it, so it would be possible with a power surge to maybe damage it and cause an overcharging situation. And it won't have the intelligent design to repair a battery. I'm sure people are going to be a little confused. That is a thing if you look it up, and it doesn't always work, but sometimes it does. It's called repairing battery status on a charger. Now I feel like I'm just kind of rambling at that point, so let me just make some genuine statements that I have about this from my experience. I have changed belts out on the back of an industrial size washing and drying machines with this at a place called UniFirst. I'm not going to comment about UniFirst or what products or dryers or anything else they have because I can't. I can say that some bolts were up to 1.5 inches. I think some were 1.25 inches. I have done 1 inch. There's been a mini of 3/4. There's been some 15/16. I've had threaded rod more than 1.5 feet long, and of course you can't get these no deeper than the socket. So I have genuinely been the stupid guy where I have taken a socket and I've put one inside of a long industrial sized bandsaw and cut the rear off the socket and tacked this particular socket onto that socket, and I got an extra few inches out of it. And then I had to start the incredibly slow process of using a ratchet wrench all the way down. And it was just so bad. I wanted to pick this back up so horribly. It just felt stupid not to be able to use this because it was so much faster. It was so much better. The honest truth is every tool has a place and a time, and it would not work. I could not use it way down here past, where the sockets can go. And we all know that. That's the truth. But I find myself always wishing that I could use this. Because I'm just a lazy piece of shit, like all the rest of us mechanics. Somebody might be a little too prideful to say, well, I'm lazy. But no, here's the thing. We're mechanics because we don't want to have to do it ourselves. For people who aren't mechanics, that doesn't make any sense. And for people who are mechanics, you may have never thought of it that way. But you like cars and trucks and engines to travel and pull heavy loads that you yourself wouldn't hook yourself up to and pull, or run or walk that load that distance. If you have ever put a tractor in front of a boat and pulled the tractor, used the tractor or the lawnmower to pull a boat around the house just to put a for sale sign on it instead of having yourself just pick it up and move it, then it's probably either because you're worried about your back or you already have a bad back. But both of those things are health issues that you could kind of slide by. The top reason is because, well, we don't want to. We have motors, and we're going to use them. And those mechanics that work on motors understand just how important machines are in everyday life. And that's where my laziness comes in. I have been so pampered by having vehicles, trucks, cars, vans, motorcycles, go-karts, the smart car that I have. I am so blessed to have those and not have to walk all the way to town. And because of that, I have become very grateful for engines and other mechanics and parts and being able to fix things. Uh, that's where mine comes from. My laziness. I want to use this because I know how to get the job done, as opposed to other things. Even the 3/8 Milwaukee, it's like, oh, this one, and it's great, but I can feel this battery's gonna die. I should go ahead and go get another battery. I don't go get another battery, and I immediately have to go get another battery anyway. This thing right here is just every single time I use it, it is great. I don't think I haven't charged this in over a year, and I've used it about 4 times this year. And I know this year is coming to a close, but it feels like that's a big statement because it hasn't lost any charge. It hasn't dissipated anywhere. It hasn't disappeared. All of the pins are still in really good condition. There doesn't appear to be any rust on this battery anywhere. The wear and tear and scratching on this is what's caused a little bit of surface rusting, or that could be yellow mud. But it has been really tough. And I do not believe any of my subscribers that want one of these will go out and buy one and be upset with it. I figured I'd make this my first video I'd start with today to go ahead and get the ass kissing out of the way, because I'm not a Portal Cable fan. I'm a Milwaukee fan, but this Impact driver has been really, really good to me. They did a good job with this. I can't say that I'm not a fan because things that they've made were bad. I'm just not a fan because this is... Where do you get one? What else do they sell? I just don't know. Milwaukee was what I was exposed to when I left being an operator at Firestone Tire Factory in Wilson and went into plumbing. Everyone had Milwaukee, or they had the I promise I'm not being sarcastic on purpose. The yellow one that looks like it's a Black & Decker toy. I said the name a while ago. They sell from out of Mexico. They're yellow, and the Hispanic people that I know really seem to like them. No. DeWalt? Doesn't matter, does it? I'm a Milwaukee fan, and this is a Porter Cable, and it has genuinely been, to me, this has been like a sidearm to a Second Amendment loving person that is in the 60s and 70s and walking around in this unsure time. They have their gun on them because they want to live This has been the impact wrench that I have kept around because if I needed it, if I wanted to drive today, I was probably going to come across a reason to use this. And even though I've only used it 4 times, I've only had to use it 4 times. I don't I don't just go, hey, look, a screw. Let's stick an adapter on here and stick a drill head on here and stick a socket in here and stick a screwdriver bit on there and just, yeah. No, I try to keep it somewhat logical. Besides welding a socket on top of a socket, that was just, I was determined to be lazy. And it didn't work out too well for me anyway, because the socket broke off, I think on the second one that I was doing. This video is not about stupid things that I've done while welding. This is about the Porter Cable Type 1 24 volt impact wrench. Now, I'm sure some of you are probably screaming that I'm just talking about how it's done good for me and being silly and being stupid. But it does 0 to 1700 RPMs. I think it's IPM is 2500, and I don't really know how to read those. I don't know what that is. Newton meters, 1700 Newton meters. I don't know all of the aspects for this, but apparently it's from Jacksonville, Tennessee, USA. All right. But it does say Fabrique in China. Hincho in China. Made in China. There we go. Yeah, made in China. It does say made in China. So, I'm guessing the company is from Jacksonville, Tennessee, but this is a Chinese product too. That hurts a little bit, but I'll get over it because it's fine. It has been... It's probably bigger than a lot of Japanese cars, let's just be honest. And it works as reliably as a Toyota pickup truck. I have been fairly happy with it, and I think that you will too. Anybody that's actually seen my tool reviews know that I usually do an out of 5 rating, and I gotta give this a 4 out of 5 rating. Usually I'd say that I don't want to be biased or something, so I don't give 5 out of 5s. This I could not give 5 out of 5s. As much as I like it, as much as I love it, it cannot receive a 5 out of 5. Not because of any biases or anything being imperfect, but it is big. If you did need this much power in an engine bay, in a small tight place, you would have to get one of those 90-degree ratcheting wrenches that sell, like Harbor Freight has one called the Earthquake, and I think Milwaukee has a brand now. This big bulky size is just, I mean, like an Amazon box is sometimes smaller than this particular drill setup. You're not going to get this up against the fan, in between the fan and the radiator on a motor. It's not going to happen unless you take the radiator out. Do you want to take the radiator out? I don't want to take the radiator out. So this is too bulky for some things, and that's sad. That is sad. If you can avoid using something smaller by running some of those flex heads around and some extensions and stuff, you might can get away with it with this. But keep in mind, this thing is pulling a lot of power on the front end, and if it just starts slinging shit all over the place, you run the risk of breaking plastic parts, zip ties, stretching wires, or even completely shredding wires. You're gonna, hit aluminum and could crack it with the stuff that's spinning on the front. So I would try to put this as close to the thing that you're bolting as possible. And if it doesn't fit, maybe don't use extensions and adapters unless it's literally a short, small area and you genuinely have to have that much power. Because it's got the power. It may not be a V8 dually diesel engine Dodge truck kind of power, but it's got power for it being an impact wrench. but it can only get 4 out of 5 stars because that power and that motor there is just too big for a lot of things. The applications become a little slim if you're working inside of a wall and you've got to run bolts to pull timbers together or something. This wouldn't be the drill for you. If you have a project where you're trying to take a slim 2-gun gun safe and slide it into the back side of a closet somewhere and you wanted to run anchoring bolts down, as long as you could get this in there to where the bolts were, you could run a flex adapter and set the bolts in the bottom to anchor it to the floor. But then you couldn't either, because a 2-gun, gun safe is really small, it's really thin. It's basically just a shell. This is just, it's big. Putting bolts in the wall, it wouldn't fit inside the gun safe. You could probably use it better on the other side of the wall, and that comes down to, it's a time and place for everything, and this just doesn't fit everywhere. So it gets 4 out of 5, and the whole 4 being carried by its brute strength. It's not the smart charger because it doesn't have one. It's not the flexibility of use because it doesn't have it. This thing comes in like the Hulk, and it just smashes every single thing that it sees, but it's got to have the room to smash. So the 4 out of 5 there is what I'm giving it. And that has been my ramblings on the Porter Cable impact wrench. I don't even know where to start on doing a slideshow for the prices and images on the internet right now. And my cats are going to knock that damn tree down again. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. And as always, be safe out there.